Hi, my name's Chris Candy, and this is the Never Not Run podcast. Or no,
Or do the NNR for.
this is the Never Not Run podcast. I'm your host, Chris Candy.
And I'm Mark Nieto.
This is the intro. This is all going in. Welcome back to the Never Not Run podcast.
Episode 3. And we are actually recording on location from the Gooder store in Venice, California.
Yep.
We're in the back patio, so that's why you might hear some ambiance, some faint birds, some street traffic.
The crooning hum of the airplanes coming from Santa Monica Airport.
Yeah.
And we're here today because I through the channel, through the Instagram page, met this awesome runner named Chloe Towns. And she's doing this project that she's going to tell you all about called LA Saves Track. And she got us involved, and she's gotten a lot of really awesome people involved in it. So we were talking to her today about it.
Yeah, she's going to go into more detail about it, but it's trying to raise funds to replace the track at the oldest high school in LA High. And she goes into all kinds of amazing stories about running and also her past as a Taekwondo competitor.
Don't give him everything. Don't give him everything, man.
No, you got to hook him first.
Is that how we get him? Yeah, you're the fisherman. Mark, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Oh man, I mean, I'm getting back out there. You know, I'm starting to. I slowed down after Death Valley, and so now I'm starting to pick it back up again. Had some, I don't know, just got some new shoes. I'm figuring out,
dude.
like some
I have
injuries
a story for you.
What's that?
What shoes you get?
I got some Hoka Rincon 3s.
That's awesome.
Just some daily trainers.
They look good.
Thanks.
I wanted to share this. I hope it's not too much of a bummer on the show, but I saw this crazy thing while I was running over the weekend. And it's just like, I just want to share it before we go into the podcast, but it was just this like crazy like slice of life that I saw. And it's just like kind of pointed out like the bizarreness of the world we live in. And also just like, it got me thinking about like what you see when you go on a run. But like, I saw that, I was like driving out to Santa Monica to go out to the bike path to hit like whatever I could do that day. And I'm like out there and I'm like listening on the radio to this show on KCRW called Good Food. And like they get this guy and he's on there and he's like, he is like old school LA dude. I think he grew up on like the east side and, grew up around food carts and all this stuff. And he was talking about how like he's designing like a new food cart for Los Angeles. Like that would be like a city or like ordained food cart, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like listening to this. I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds cool. And, the rest of my day goes on. And then I make it out to the beach and I start my run. And I'm running down close to the pier. And so I get down there and I see like this dude like selling food out of a cart. And he's like tells his son like, hey, like, get back to work over there. Like the dad's on the phone or something like that. And so then I keep running and then I get to like my turnaround point and I see this like army of Santa Monica police like in their fucking like John Deere
bikes or
no, the John Deere fucking ATVs.
Oh no.
And I'm like, so then I flip around. I'm like, what the it was one of those things where it was just like, this is obscene. That's all I could think of when I saw them. Whatever it is, like, this is an exercise. This is obscene for right now.
To crack down on this guy selling food?
They cracked down on him. So I turned back around and I saw the food cart, like, as if it was like selling heroin, but they're just selling like, food. Uh-huh. And I'm going like, and so I'm like, that sucks. And like people are kind of booing them and stuff. And I'm just like, this sucks, And then I see the dad, and I'm keeping on running. And I see the dad and he's screaming to his other son or his other partner who's at another food cart, who's like, has no clue that he's like he's about to get busted. He's like, yelling at him like, Christian, Chris. The guy's name was Christian. So then I tell the dude, I'm like, yeah, dude, you got to get out of here, And I see him run like crazy, and they get the food cart out, and they save that other food cart at least. Cops don't roll on him.
Whoa.
But I was just thinking, I was thinking about like, it has nothing to do with running or nothing to do with me, but it was something I saw on a run. And
Yeah.
it was something that's of note that's going on in Los Angeles right now that makes zero sense to me. You know, but this like imbalance of like on the radio, they're like talking about like cool looking food carts, but then on the streets, they're like busting people for selling food. So I don't know. I just wanted to share that because it was just something I saw on a run, and it was just my slice of life run story. They're not always going to be pleasant.
Well, right. It's that kind of, I guess, culture that you experience on the ground level that you may not experience if you're in a car, which I guess so many of us do when we're driving around Southern California.
It's true. You don't really get up and see it. But anyways, I wanted to share that.
This might be a good time to shout out Inclusive Action, too, which is a nonprofit that our friend Nicole works at. And there's actually, I think some of her fellow directors are runners as well. So maybe down the road we can get
Maybe we can get
them
like
on
a
the
run club night together. And, you know, we talk about all these runs we're going to do. Next week, we're dropping the next run. All right. We're going to have it all planned out for everybody. Anyways, thanks for listening to that. But get ready to listen to this because it was a lot of twists and turns. And Chloe's awesome. And the hospitality we had here at Gooder was just like incredible. Welcome to round 3 of the Never Not Run podcast. I'm your host, Chris Candy.
And I'm Mark Nieto.
And we are here in lovely Venice Beach, California. Where are we right now, Mark?
We are in the beautiful back patio of the Gooder store on Abbot Kinney.
Gooder, for those who don't know, who are listening to the podcast for the first time, is a sunglass brand. They do a lot of really great frames and like are at a really great price. Like they're super affordable. Like,
Yeah.
I think my first interaction with Gooder was just like these like really nice looking sunglasses that aren't that expensive. And guess what? That's not even a sponsorship of the show. That's always been my interaction with Gooder. So this is really random and awesome that we get to be here today to do the show from this awesome, sunglass shop for runners primarily.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of sunglasses on runners specifically.
Yeah.
Which is great. But there's a better reason we're here.
There's a way better reason that we're here,
Yeah.
way better than Gooder, is we're here to interview a new friend of mine through Never Not Run, through the site. She's a major staple in the LA running community, introduced me to a ton of people in the LA running community through her nonprofit, LA Saves Track. She's a beast of a runner from what I can tell, and I just can't wait to get into all of the info. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Chloe Towns.
Thank you guys for having me. It's so exciting.
That's right, Chloe Towns, right?
Yeah, you nailed it, yeah.
All right, perfect.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, this is cool. And yes, the Gooder Cabana is a pretty sick place to host a podcast, not like somebody's backyard. It's a lot better. So I'm stoked you guys are here.
No, thanks for inviting us. You've always been so nice to Never Not Run in regards to offering this place for races or chill zones after races. We haven't fully taken advantage of it, but we're definitely scheming as we're sitting here.
Love it.
Yes.
We'll do a after hours NNR rave or something like that.
Yes, there we go. Get some DJs out the back.
Yeah, exactly.
For those long beach runs.
But yeah, we came to know each other a year ago, more or less. And, you approached me about a nonprofit that you run called LA Saves Track. And maybe we'll jump into that first and just kind of talk about what that is, and what that means to you. And then we can kind of work back from there.
Yeah, for sure. So for those of you who aren't listening, LA Saves Track is a nonprofit mission actually so it's a project spearheaded inside of a nonprofit. The nonprofit itself is called LaRue's Crew, which is my running coach and mentor, Aaron LaRue, kind of built this nonprofit. So it's not just me running the LA Saves Track project. It's him. It's a bunch of other people. But I'm kind of the boots on the ground girl, the go-to person for a lot of this stuff. So that's why you see me at most of these things. But there's definitely other brains working on the project too. But what it is it's a mission to restore and rebuild the facilities at the oldest high school in Los Angeles, LA High. It's a Title I school, and that means that for those who don't know what Title I is, it's at least 60% of the kids there are below the poverty line, but at LA High, it's actually closer to 80%.
Right.
And we've latched onto this school because LaRue's Crew, the nonprofit, is designed to kind of help mentor kids in the athletic space into getting into college, getting better opportunities that wouldn't necessarily have one. So what we kind of have been doing is working with LA High, especially Aaron, he's built this relationship at LA High, and his long-term vision was, I'd love to get LA High a quality track to run on. For those of you who've never been to LA High, which is most people on this podcast that are listening today, it's a facility, but it's not super usable. There's a big mound in the center of grass that's not very well kept, full of potholes. You're more likely to sprain an ankle than you are to get a touchdown there. The ring is a dirt ring, but it's pretty rutted out. Fun fact is that Obama landed his helicopter on that ring and then never fixed it when the helicopter crashed, which I was like, that's super cool, but also kind of shitty. Not the best move, but it's a historical place and it's got a lot of like roots to it. And for the facilities to kind of fall apart with so much history behind it, doesn't seem super fair. The reason this has happened, or we believe the reason this has happened, is because this school was the go-to high school for a lot of people in, this is like mid-Wilshire area. A lot of people went there from Koreatown, et cetera, all these different things. And then they built a magnet school not too far away, and it started to pull kids out of LA High. And then that combo with busing really started to take away a lot of the funds, because lots of funds are based on success rate of college and grades, and socioeconomic status plays in too. But when you're busing, that messes it up. So it started to lose a lot of its funds. And our mission is that if we can restore the track there, fix Aaron's, 10-year goal and turn it into something that we could do in a year, and then also put in quality coaches and a nicer facility. They don't even have stadium lights there. So if they play at night, like how does that work, right? So a lot of times they can't even host meets there. So putting in a lot of nicer facilities to make that a place that people want to go to school, not just feel like they have to go to school there.
Sure.
And then by doing that, we can kind of empower the class there that's might be feeling a little bit left behind. So empowering those kids to reach their goals in both sport and personal goals, and kind of also put a glaring sign out to just the greater community that access to sport at least should be, like the access itself should be a necessity, not a luxury. So every kid should be able to try sports at least. Even if they don't want to be a pro athlete when they grow up, they should at least have that accessibility. And that's something we've noticed isn't as, it's not as obvious to, I guess you could say, to a lot of people. So by doing that and showing that equity of sport access is really something we're about here.
Yeah, definitely. I remember you reaching out to me about it, and I kind of was surprised that, LA High, which I think you mentioned, but is the oldest high school it's the second oldest high school, I think, in California. Yeah. It's the first oldest high school in Los Angeles. They have such a kind of crummy track, and I've driven by it like all the time. It's over there on Olympic or Pico.
On Olympic.
Yeah, Olympic Boulevard. And it's, the Romans, it's a classic skate spot, the front of it. It's been in like so many skate films, like those ledges in the front. But to, like kind of, I always would have imagined in the back there was actually like a pretty prominent track that would be going on there, because I also like never ran track or anything. So I'd always imagine like every school has a really nice track, but that's not the case. So you approached us about it and wanted to maybe get into doing some shirts and t-shirts. And I, honestly, the gift I got from it was like learning about this problem and this thing to be addressed in the running community and like other communities, but also like, it's done such a good job of getting me to meet so many other runners and like, it's such like a social event, and I just feel like we've really like put a spotlight on the like LA running community, which is like really beautiful. And I really, just before we really get into it, I want to say thank you, because you've done like a really amazing job at like getting some awesome events together.
Thank you. Yeah, I have noticed that one of the many bonuses of doing this project is how many people have been able to connect and almost create their own projects for themselves. So like, hey, you're going to help me with this and this, but by the way, you should know this photographer for future use. And now he has more gigs too. So I like making my friends happy and rich and all these other things too. So it's kind of a win-win. It's a lot of, struggle and lots of hours spent, but it's very fulfilling work that I'm doing at least.
So I guess we should go then into our first kind of question we normally ask. And you want to get into that one, Mark?
Well, yeah. So I guess just start by telling us a little bit about your history with running and how you kind of, started thinking of yourself as a runner, and also maybe your relationship to LA and to the city, and how you kind of, how you fit into the running scene here.
Okay. My history with running is not what you're going to guess. I actually have only been running for just about 3 years.
Great.
And I'm pretty new to it. My actual history in sport was I was a professional fighter for most of my life.
Nice.
So I was a professional Taekwondo fighter. I got on national team when I was like 14 or 15 and stuck with it
Wow.
for a while.
I hear with fighting, running actually is always recommended for stamina.
It is, but not distance running.
Okay.
It's like more short burst interval stuff because Taekwondo is a very explosive sport and running
Yeah.
is like long, slow distance is all about, it's like, these very wiry muscles that are, lean, and Taekwondo is about, how hard and fast can you kick somebody. So I used to be able to like throw my leg over my head, and I can't do that now, or I'm going to pull a hamstring. But yeah, so my relationship to running it's super new. I got into it because I quit Taekwondo. And for anybody who's invested as much time to sport, like I had invested in Taekwondo, that breakup fucks you up.
Really?
And I mean, it's not as big as, the post-Olympic depression kind of vibe, but it's very emotionally difficult.
Did you notice some like moods and like major feelings coming up after leaving it?
I mean, so the reason I quit Taekwondo was, so I was at UCLA, and for reference, Taekwondo is not a NCAA sport. So you can't be a sponsored athlete. You can't have any kind of scholarship from it. So what it means is that I'm missing all these classes and traveling internationally. And the teachers are going, well, that's super cool, but like, what is Taekwondo? Like, why, like it doesn't, there's no point of reference for them. So I kind of had to look in the mirror and be like, am I going to go get a degree, or am I going to go pursue Taekwondo and try to go, I was on the route for the 2020 Olympics, and
Wow.
I was just kind of in this big toss up, and I went with school because even if I had made it to the Olympics and everything went perfectly there, like there was no career built off of that. I didn't want to own a Taekwondo gym. I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life. It was
Sure.
something I loved in that moment, and I knew that I wasn't going to do it forever.
Right.
So I kind of bit the bullet and went into UCLA, got my degree there, and used running as my mental outlet to deal with all the stuff that had built up from
Right.
quitting a sport that was your identity I started Taekwondo when I was 4.
Oh my God.
So it was everything. It
Yeah.
was, Chloe was the fighter kid. Like that was the identity behind me. So to have that breakup was insane.
Of course.
So, I stopped when I was 18, 19. That's most of my life.
Yeah. Right.
So I used running to kind of get the mental junk out of my head, and then started to enjoy it because yes, there's a runner's high, but there's also a fighting high, and it's a very different kind of high, but both of them can come from that grueling exertion.
Right.
So running, I could experience that a little bit. And I found community through running because, as you guys well know, the run community is insane in LA.
Yeah.
Which there's not community like that in Taekwondo, at least in the US. In other countries, there's huge communities of Taekwondo. Taekwondo is like soccer or basketball. It's the sport.
Right.
But in America, it's not as big. So.
Where did you travel? What was the most fun place you traveled for Taekwondo?
Ooh. I spent a week in the Philippines. That was sick. I did 2 weeks in China. That was also pretty epic because it wasn't like tourism China. It was like rural China.
Wow. What was rural China like?
Weird.
Really?
It was weird. I should have like documented that shit because they built an entire like basically city for the tournament I was at. So
God.
the tournament was like this new thing where they were going to have cash prizes for all the winners of the heat and make it very UFC kind of feeling, and have every athlete had a character behind them and all that stuff. And it was just weird because you would exit the convention center of this venue and you'd like get maybe 30 meters out of it, and it was like desolate. And it was like, whoa.
Oh.
A lot of that kind of stuff was like, this is a city in the middle. It was like a fucking oasis in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, what is going on here?
Wow.
So that was weird. Also just like, yeah, we wear masks all the time now, but wearing masks over there because of air quality, because this was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird too. And like we trained with the Chinese like Olympic team, and they beat the shit out of you. But but like having to wear a mask while they're doing it is just more demoralizing. So there was lots of weird things going on there. I don't
So
think
you would be fighting, and would they be wearing a mask and you wouldn't be? Or
Well,
you
they
would,
were.
you would be,
I was a sissy with the air quality because it was like the sky's black in where we were, and it was like it's 3 PM. Why is it this dark?
yeah.
So it threw me off a lot.
Sure.
But they seemed more adjusted, and eventually we took them off because we're like, I need to know what I'm doing. I'd rather not get kicked in the face again.
Understood. Totally.
But yeah, those were probably the most like out there trips. I did like the whole Mexico circuit, Costa Rica, Canada, et cetera, but those were my most unique trips, I'd say.
What was it like when you first stopped doing Taekwondo? Was it kind of like, did you take a lot of time away from any physical activity, or did you just kind of naturally go into running, or were you trying to figure out and try out other sports?
Yeah. So when I first quit, I haven't taken a break ever of athletics. But
Great. When
I first quit, I started to go into like boxing and Muay Thai. And then I even went back into Taekwondo for a hot second. But my issue is that for lack of better words, I can't half-ass anything. I don't like to do things partially.
Right.
So doing Taekwondo just for the fun of it was not enjoyable for me. So I had to kind of cold turkey stop that. And then I went into boxing, and
Where'd you train when you bought? We used to all box at Wild Card.
Wild Card, yeah.
You bought Wild Card West Side or Wild Card Hollywood?
Wild Card. And then also over at one of the head coaches at Wild Card had opened his own gym for a hot second. I would train with him over there, but then he quickly closed that.
What was it? Hold on. The Wild Card connections to me. So what was your first experience when you walked into Wild Card?
Wild Card? I was in the upstairs. I didn't go into the downstairs.
I've been to the downstairs once, but I want the upstairs.
Okay.
That's the real scary one.
Well, the upstairs, so how we did it was one of the coaches, whose name I'm blanking on right now, had set up a session with my former strength and conditioning coach for when I was competing in Taekwondo heavy. And he was going to do a class with my strength and conditioning coach, myself, and one other guy. And we were going to all take turns alternating rounds and then do our own stuff afterwards. It was like a group class. And I was probably one of two girls there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't that shocking to me because I kind of grew up on the mats.
Sure.
So for me, it was just another day in the office.
A bunch of us.
It was more surprising to them because they're like, who the fuck are you? Like, because I have a natural rhythm with martial arts. So for me, picking up boxing isn't that difficult. Granted, I'm no pro boxer by any means, but like the basic rhythms and the
Sure.
the 1 through 6 kind of punches,
knowing your
I could pick
breathing
up.
and-
Yeah, that stuff, that foot balance, I could pick that up pretty easily. So they were more like, how long have you been boxing for? I was like, oh, today's my first class. And they're like, oh, okay. And they're just like, so that was one of my issues though, was that whenever I'd go into a different martial art before I went into running to try to get that outlet, because of my background in Taekwondo, it made it very hard for people to not realize I was somebody of some sort.
Sure.
And then like I did Muay Thai systems training, and like within 2 or 3 weeks, they were like, so we want you to do a fight for us. And I was like,
right.
this is what I tried to get out of. Like, why are you pulling me back into this? So then I just cut that out too, because it was like, this isn't going to become the right cycle I'm looking for. So, but yeah, Wildcard is sick. It's a fucking cool place. And the guy I knew, his name is Marvin Somodio, and
I remember that guy. Yeah.
So he's basically Manny Pacquiao's right-hand guy.
I don't know him personally, but we trained with this guy named Coach Ray. Ray's
Shout out
another
Ray.
Ray. Well, we're gonna get him on the. I've invited him on the pod
Thank
too.
God.
And Ray is this like just lovable like teddy bear who would like just destroy you and just like basically send you through circuits, and like he was just he was just the funniest guy to work with. But through him, at least my experience was like getting to know all of these like cartoon characters that work at that gym, and it's cool going in and, you see, oh my God, why am I blanking on his name right now? The head coach, Pacquiao's coach,
Freddie Roach.
Freddie Roach.
Yeah.
Freddie Roach is right behind the desk
counter,
there.
yeah.
And it's just like so rad.
It's exactly what you would want out of it, right? Like it's a world-class gym and you go in and you're like,
This is world class. Yeah.
I remember one time I was there and I was training with Coach Ray, and he like worked the shit out of me, and I was like so faint, so dehydrated.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, Candy, come on, let's go get some lunch. And so I'm like, all right, Coach. And like I went with him to that Thai food restaurant that's in that like little parking lot, and he just like ate like this big plate of like noodles or something like that, and I was like ready to just like puke. I was like, whoa, like I was so like not interested in food.
Yeah.
I need to like lie down and like get salts in me and water, and I just like had the most miserable meal of my whole time, just like eating like a fried piece of tofu, like it was bad. But what was your first memory for you of like, okay, I'm running a lot more than I thought I could, or this is more than I'm used to?
Yeah, I decided after I was done with the fighting shit to go run, and I was at UCLA, and there's like a loop you can do at UCLA that's about 4.5 miles.
Right.
It's just a very well-known loop that everybody runs. And I did it one day twice. And I didn't think I could. I just kind of was like in the zone, just flowing. And I was like, oh, that first one went pretty fast. And I finished it afterwards and I felt so good. And it was like, wow, running's kind of fun. And went over to, there's a Whole Foods in Westwood, and I grabbed like some electrolyte drink, and I was just sitting in the like thing outside by myself, nobody around, nobody bothering me. And I was just sitting there like, I think I want to do this more often. That was kind of the check off of this is going to happen now. I didn't know that in the moment, obviously. I think I even tagged I put like a picture of the electrolyte drink on my Instagram because I had tagged my nutritionist from when I was fighting, because I was like, oh, you recommended this electrolyte drink to me.
Which one was it? Do you remember?
It's called Numa, I think. It was like a coconut one or something that was like electrolyte. It was super good. But shout out to Numa, I guess. But I tagged my nutritionist in it, and I was like, this is good. But she had already known that I wasn't even fighting anymore. So it was just like, it was like that weird limbo of like, I think I'm going to say goodbye to that stuff and try running for a little bit.
And then did you end up like, so you did the 10?
Yeah.
So did you have the electrolyte and then you went back for another 5? Or
no, I did the 10, stopped at Whole Foods, Apple Pay to Numa, sat outside and just kind of like vibed for a second. I was like, that was kind of fun. Because before then I had run for Taekwondo. Like I probably had done 3 or 4 miles on a Tuesday or Thursday, no problem.
Right.
But those are like those runs that people that are fitness enthusiasts do, that are like, we're going to run like 100%, every single run because there's no easy runs, and those kind of people. That was what the training was for Taekwondo. It was like 2 or 3 miles all out, and then, 10 sets of stairs, and then you go back.
Had you done any races before that, like a 5K or anything?
I think I did a 10K. I did like a couple 10K, 5K local races.
Where'd you grow up? Did you grow up?
Yeah, pretty much in Manhattan Beach area, like South Bay.
Yeah, of course.
I was born in New Jersey, but then I moved out to LA when I was 6, so I'm LA.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you ever go run up that sand hill?
Sand dune?
Sand dune?
Yeah. They used to have it open to the public, and we'd use it for Taekwondo training sometimes, but they got rid of it. They made it private, so you have to like reserve a spot.
Really?
Now, yeah, I don't know. It was stupid. Because now nobody uses it, because it's like reserving is just an extra step. But if you've been to Redondo Beach, there's this set of stairs on Avenue C that's like, I think it's 78 stairs. And our Taekwondo team used to take us on that stupid stair set and do like 10 sets of it. And then make us come back and do like speed drills after on kicks, like for another hour. And that was like a throw up Thai food kind of workout. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
So how long after that 10-mile run did you decide, okay, I want to start competing. I want to get into races?
Not competing, but okay, so I had some buddies at UCLA in my science classes, and I was like, hey, I just like tried this running thing, and it was kind of fun. And then one of my buddies named Kyle was like, hey, I've always wanted to run a marathon. Let's run a marathon together.
Sick.
And I was like, sick, let's do it. I have nothing else now because Taekwondo's gone. I need something to latch onto. Let's do it. And we ended up recruiting like 3 or 4 of our other buddies. And then Kyle was like more beast than I was, basically. And we would just do that loop a bunch of times and go on little runs together all around UCLA. And then the buddies dropped off, and it was just Kyle and I, and then our schedules conflicted. And then I met at Erewhon over here in Venice. I was out one day just getting food with this guy, and he knew this lady that had walked up named Krishna. And Krishna is a ex-national team track runner.
Wow.
That he had known, and he was like, oh, like, good seeing you again. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, what are you doing over here? And she's like, oh, I now work for this company called Adidas Runners. We're like, we have a run club right here on Abbott Electric behind Abbott. It's like a little like apartment complex they had bought. And they're like, like if you ever want to run with us, come by. And I was like, oh shit, I'm training for a marathon. This is perfect. So I kind of ditched Kyle and was like, I'm going over here and I'm going to start running with them, because they had a group of like 15, 20 people that were all training for that same LA marathon. It was I was doing LA.
What year? I think we all probably did it.
It was 2019.
I was there for sure. Yeah.
I was there the year before.
Yeah, so I had like 2 months before. I had no idea what I was going into. And I was like training with these people, and it was like okay programming, but like I only went to the Adidas runs, not recognizing that you had to go to like do your own training aside, and didn't understand easy miles and yada yada. So as everybody does on their first marathon, died. And then I was like, this is over, no more running ever again.
So what was that? Wait, hold on. What was because we love to talk about the suffering a little bit. Like what was that first marathon like?
Oh my God,
we've embarrassed ourselves like insane on this podcast. So.
Okay, so my biggest issue with my first marathon is that you're taking an basically pro Taekwondo fighter who has a mentality of fighting is 3 rounds, 3 minutes. So it's 9 minutes of suffering, and then you're done, and then you don't have to come back into like the next bracket. So you win your heat, then you win your bracket, then you fight the next person who also won their bracket. So you have like 3 hours in between or 2 hours to rest.
Yeah.
So in like mile like 7 or something, I was like, damn, my knee hurts. And I was like holding by the way, let's also keep in mind here that I was trying to BQ on my first marathon, which I had never run that pace before. I had always run I think I had to run like a 7:40-ish pace or something, or 50 to get a BQ. I wanted to run like sub 3:30. And I had done all my easy runs at like an 8:30, and I had done no training for this whatsoever.
Right.
Like no idea what I was going into. I was like, I'm just going to try 7:30 the day of, because all the adrenaline will get to me, right? So I take off at like 7:15 for the first 3 miles, and like 7:30, and I'm like, yeah, my knee hurts. And I was like, it's okay. It'll go away. Didn't go away. It got exponentially worse, as I'm sure you guys know, because I just tried holding that pace, and then at like mile 13, I want to say, I saw one of the people that had been at Adidas Runners walking, and I was like, oh no, that guy's faster than me, and he's walking. Like, this is bad. So then I started walking because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and this guy's walking, and he seems to know what he's doing more than I do. So I started walking, which is worse because then you lose your momentum, right? And then it's just shit show from that.
Yeah.
And then I had my Apple Watch, which died. But as it was dying, I was like in my realization that I had set myself up for failure, like trying to text my mom on it, like, can you pick me up? I'm not gonna make it. I don't want to do this anymore. Shit. And then of course that like mile 18 up of Santa Monica,
like Brentwood area, or
right by Century City.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like that was pretty much it.
So did you finish?
I did finish. I did terrible. I got like a 4:15.
Hey,
still better than the rest of us
LSD
on
over
this
here,
podcast.
baby. Long, slow distance. We're the double slow here. No, but that's still really an impressive time for just like going
Your
out for the
first
first
time out.
marathon.
With no
Yeah.
idea, no gel. I wore pants. That was stupid. I had no idea what I was doing.
Cargo pants? What kind of pants?
No,
did you
they
have?
were like those Nike like jogger pants, like the swishy material ones,
of
but
course.
it was still pants and it was like 70 degrees. I was like, I'm an idiot.
I know. The marathon is like, we always talk about it. It's the great teacher. You know, you go out there and you get like this amazing lesson about yourself.
So when you finished, were you like, oh my God, that felt amazing, like I feel so much accomplishment, or were you like, fuck this, I'm never doing
I
this
was
again?
the latter. I was fuck this, I'm never doing it again. And I had finished like around the same time that one of the like head people from the Adidas Runners was there. And I just remember walking over and sitting down on a curb next to him and looking at him being like, why'd you tell me to do this? Like, it's a terrible idea. Never doing this again. He's like, yeah, I don't want to do this again either. And I was like, cool, like glad we're on the same page. And then
But then here we are.
Here we are. It got better, I guess.
So
Didn't get better, did it?
Well, it did get better because you are like really, incredible in the sense like, we've met each other at like an interesting point as friends of like where we're at in our running world. But like I remember when I was kind of like ramping down a little bit and finishing my most recent LA marathon, you were like, oh yeah, just come to Catalina next weekend. I'm doing this 50K. Like,
yeah.
And I was actually at Gooder and I was going like, I love this person, but there's no way I'm like gonna do that. So tell us about your most recent run, and that would be the Catalina 50K.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was way more fun than a marathon. I realized that I really like stuff that I don't like. Marathons for me, I have a very set time goal. When I'm running, so I did Boston also, and that was not fun. But usually when I'm running just to have like an experience and finish it, that's usually really fun for me. Mm-hmm. So Avalon was a blast. And I stupidly, like, the night before, I was like, I'm just going to run for fun pace, like, just try to hold, like, around, like, comfortable the whole time, conversational, not really get crazy with it. And in the beginning, I don't know how I never learned this, but I blasted off in the beginning with people I had become kind of friends with closely on the trip, but I'd known one of these guys named Adam Talon before. And he told me, or I saw him on the ferry getting onto Catalina. I was like, oh my God, like you're one of my favorite people. I want to run this with you. He's a beast runner, way better than both of us combined. But with him was Alexi Papas, who I also became friends with on that trip. And I was like, Alexia's like, I just want to run this chill. And I was like, perfect. I want to run it chill too. Her chill is not my chill. Right.
Well, she like ran in the Olympics, right?
Yeah, she's an
Yeah,
Olympic
for
10K.
all of those people who don't
Yeah.
know, Alexi Pappas is the GOAT.
Yeah, she's a beast. She ended up winning it for women's, so I'm glad I didn't stay with her. But I did try to hang on to them for like a mile, and then I was like, this is stupid. This is not what I signed up for. And then also the night before, I had told one of my friends who, her name is Jazzy, and she had been doing some of the trainings with me and just kind of like jived, and we were on the same fitness. So I was like, oh, let's run this together. And I'd also told Alexi and Adam that I was going to run with them, and I didn't see Jazzy at the start. So I was like, oh, I'll just take off with Alexi. I'll find Jazzy eventually because we were on the same fitness. And I remember like it was pitch black when we
Right.
started, and we're up the side of this mountain, and I've lost Alexi and Adam now, and I'm just kind of by myself, and I'm just kind of like tapping my hands on my thighs like this was a big mistake because I got 30 miles to go and I don't have anybody to
Yeah.
run with. And like about another mile in, I hear from the back this girl Jazzy and this other guy named Garrett Gooch, and they shout to me like, hey, what the fuck did you do taking off so early? And they found me, and
Amazing.
we ran the entire race together into the finish line, which
That's
was awesome. We went in
Yeah.
hand in hand, and were coined the Powerpuff Girls because I was wearing a hot pink shirt, and the guy Garrett was wearing a hot green shirt, like a neon green shirt, and then I don't remember what Jazzy was wearing, but we looked like a little unit, like a little team at coordinator
Amazing.
outfits, and it was such a more enjoyable experience to have somebody to talk to for that entire time and pull you through. Jazzy had never run a marathon before, so she
Wow.
just got her marathon PR in the 50K.
Wow.
Which was like still like a 4:10 we did that day. So yeah, the experience itself was super enjoyable. I was way less sore after that than any kind of marathon that I've
Really?
ever done. Yeah, I was like running 2 days later.
So did you stay the night out in Catalina?
Yeah, so we came in. The race was on. I don't remember, but we stayed that night and then left the next morning late at like 11 a.m. But,
Nice.
yeah, it was a great time, and I went with that same group of Adidas runners, and they brought like 20 people,
Nice.
all sorts of different fitness, and they all finished the race. And all of them had their own journeys, but I was really fortunate on how well mine went. No stomach issues, no, I stayed hydrated, never really like got any injuries. My only issue was that I like tried newish shoes that I hadn't run many miles in before, and I couldn't figure out how to get the lacing right. So I had these like bruises on the top of my foot afterwards, and those hurt like a motherfucker going downhill, like
Yeah.
all those runs. But
What do you like to run in?
variety of things. For the trail run I did, it was with Adidas, so we all wore Adidas shoes, and they were like the parlay ones. I mean, if I'm doing like training runs, I'm pretty mixed on it. I'm not really a brand loyal person,
Sure.
but I have been wearing more Adidas stuff recently just because I've been running with them and supporting them. If I'm racing like a road race, I'm still a Vaporfly girl. Like I know that's super basic, and everybody's like, oh,
No,
but
not at
I
all.
love those. If I'm training, like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2s are good. And then the Adidas Audio 6 I actually love. They're like almost like, remember when Nike had those really good Pegasus Turbo 2s that everybody loved?
Yeah,
They got rid of
definitely.
those, and then the Audio 6 is like the closest thing I found to them. So
Right.
those are kind of like I save them for when I just want to have a good day.
I've never run in Adidas actually.
They used to have terrible shoes.
Yeah.
But they got really like a lot better.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to check them out. Yeah. Actually, the store's right across the street from Gooder here. Maybe I'll pop in and take
There
a
you
look.
go, yeah. But I do want to give a quick, like the Audios Pro 2 are the ones that everybody's getting world records in right now, which is kind of sick.
And that's an Adidas.
Adidas shoe, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, the Audios Pro 2 is like in between a Nike Vaporfly and an Alphafly, so not as stacked, but like still has that more like neutral stride, like you're gonna hit your heel eventually kind
Right.
of vibe, where the Vaporflies are more aggressive.
Yeah.
So I like those a lot for long speedy days. Anyways,
I was actually really curious about your if you could quickly touch on your Boston experience and like how you qualified and how the training went for
Boston. Boston, I actually went again with Adidas as part of their like charity group, and then repped LA Saves Track like crazy out there. So I just did it as a fun run because I was running CIM in December, and I had just done a half marathon that I raced at 2 weeks before. But my brother lives in Boston, and I like don't ever have an excuse to see him, so that was kind of like my go-to excuse.
That's
and
fun.
The plan was to like kind of do like some aerobic miles and then do most of them easy pace, and if I felt like shit, drop out. But again, I can't half-ass shit, so I have to finish it. which was a huge mistake because then at the end of it, I was like, this was a terrible idea because I had just literally raced hard less than 2 weeks ago. But hands down the best crowd I've ever seen at a race. Like the environment there is insane and everybody's out. The whole city cares about it. It just feels, it's unmatched feeling. Like LA looks like nothing compared to,
Wow.
you know?
Amazing. Yeah, my only experience has been LA, but even for me, LA was like, I can't imagine it being bigger than that, right? Because you
Right.
really feel like LA is, all of LA comes out for it. So Boston must
Well, you
be,
know, now you know Death Valley now. Mark just finished Death Valley.
yeah, there's nobody
Wow.
out there for Death.
Yeah.
There's a
Why
couple-
would they be though?
There's a couple high
Oh,
schoolers.
to that point, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a couple high schoolers,
Giving you country time lemonade.
Yeah.
and that's about it. But
I'm training for this marathon in Duluth, Minnesota called Grandma's.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it, but explain it to the listeners.
I mean, it's a faster marathon course, similar to kind of like CIM in Sacramento. It's in June, which is a summer marathon, but it's in Duluth, Minnesota, so it's still coolish, so like the temperature's good.
that's nice.
But I'm only dreading it because of that aspect where who the hell's gonna come out from Duluth, Minnesota to watch me run? Like nobody. Whereas like LA, the city comes out, you know.
Yeah.
Boston, it was insane.
so you feed off the energy of the crowd then.
Yeah, because I used to be a fighter. So like
Yeah.
fighting is very like, oh shit, she just hit him in the head. Like that's insane. Like
Would you say that's like your you know, I have so many questions for you, but would you, what are the similarities for you between fighting and running?
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, honestly, like I want to add to this that fighting and running and the mindset of those two is what really helped me pick my current career path, which is I'm starting to be a sports psychologist right now. So
Oh, interesting.
so the mindset has been one of the things that I've really latched onto.
Right.
I told you guys that the mindset of, 3 rounds in 3 minutes into a marathon is a terrible idea. But because I was, incubated in this facility since I was 4 of grit and, punching through boards and getting kicked in the face and breaking your nose and all of these things and learning how to push through it, I am like for really obsessed with that embracing the suck feel. Like that's
Yeah.
something that kind of like feeds off of me, and that can go across any sport.
Yeah, I love that. I'm very addicted to that part of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for
Yeah.
the people who love me in my life, they see me go through hell. But
Right.
I totally understand that.
Yeah, and it's addictive. It's and it's fun to share amongst other people. I'm also training for the Speed Project right now, which is kind of like, I mean, I have a buddy who's doing it solo, which is even more
my
insane.
God.
Oh wow.
But
Who?
her name's Shelby Farrell. She's a beast ultra runner. Just kind of getting into the ultra running scene now and crushing it. But she's doing the whole damn thing solo.
Holy shit.
But I love that same kind of feeling where it's like, oh, I'm running at 2 a.m. and I don't want to run right now. And there's, there's dogs chasing me, so I better run fast. And I don't want to be up and I'm starving and I can't eat at the same time. Like that feeling is something I love to work through, even though like emotionally my body might not be processing it correctly. And I might be like, fed up and pissed off. But
Sure.
there's a different side of my brain that's going like, this is sick. Like this is exactly why I want to be on this planet.
For the listeners that don't know, the Speed Project is a race from the Santa Monica Pier to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It's
Usually done in a team. It's a relay. But
So if someone's doing it solo, that is extra bonkers.
yeah. Yeah. As opposed to sharing it across 6 people. We're doing it for 1.
Yeah, Mark and I, there's a good chance that we're going to be actually crewing on that.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, we're going to be helping a local team out. So
We'll see you in Vegas
Yeah.
after we win.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna do it the following year.
Okay.
And we might try and do an NNR team to get
Yeah.
out there.
Well, since we are getting close to the end of your time, before we get to our final question, what's next for LA Safe's track, and how can people kind of connect with you and help give to this amazing cause?
Yeah. So we have a campus cleanup coming up on February 27th. That's going to be at LA High, and it's kind of just designed to get the students of LA High engaged with the community that wants to support them, and then also do some good at the actual campus itself. Most of our focus for the past 3 or 4 months has been just getting funds in, but I don't want it to also feel like it's just us throwing a check at them. I want them to feel like we want to work with them and kind of create a new wheel there, as opposed to just putting a Band-Aid on it. So getting the community integrated more with LA High's culture and campus and all of these things so that we feel like more of an establishment that's going to be here to help support them continuously is a focus right now. After the campus cleanup, I am working on an art gallery thing that hasn't been really announced yet, but it's going to be a sick little like art gallery with for sale with pieces. And then if you really want to like support it, any kind of obviously financial donation, we have a website. It's just lasavestrack.com is the best thing, but you can also just email me. It's just, you can email Chloe@questify.ai and kind of send a crazy idea you have, or I'm sure you can find me on Chris's Instagram or whatever.
We're going to put all of the information on the info for the podcast so all the listeners can get a hold of all of your information and what you have to offer. And there is definitely some great stuff. How much has LA Saves Track raised for LA High?
We're around $70,000 right now,
That's great.
Which is a good amount of money, but not enough to fix a track, unfortunately. The goal is $500,000. So we're far from that, but it's still a solid chunk of money. And I think like our focus right now is just to kind of get bigger eyes looking at it. So we don't have to do we did a lot of grassroots funding for the last 3 or 4 months. It was almost entirely grassroots of just like people that love the cause. But now I want to try to get people who love the cause that work at, this brand to have them throw in a couple $1,000s and have it be a little bit easier lifts than doing all these like small scale community activations.
We do have the NNR LA Saves Track shirt available.
This
All
is true.
proceeds go directly to LA Saves Track and the LA High track refurbishment and rebrand and rebuild. But this was great. And this is a question we end all the podcasts on. And again, thank you so much for doing this.
Yes, thank you.
This has just been like, please come back on. We'd love to have you. You could do more catch-ups, I guess, on what's going on with LA Saves Track and your unbelievable running future ahead of you. But what is your runner high?
Ooh, my runner high. Scratch gummies. No, I'm just kidding. Those are so good. My runner high, I think is, it's always on a long run. It's usually at easy pace on a long run. And if I'm on like a rolling trail with a couple people, so I don't have to worry about any like being alone on the trail, that any kind of mountain lion or shit's gonna happen. It's still like light out and you're just kind of flowing through space. And there's that moment where you're thinking about everything and nothing all at once. And it's just like you're moving through nature and it feels very like appropriate. Everything feels appropriate about it. Like the way your legs move feel appropriate. Like the weather feels right. You feel like you're almost doing something that was you are doing something you're designed to do. You're meant to run, but it all feels very harmonious with nature itself.
Right.
That's my favorite feeling. That's like what I strive to have. Yeah.
Chloe Towns, unfucking believable. The beast from the east, but now living in the west.
Oh, I like that. So first,
she's the best, and she's doing great things.
Thank you again for coming on the podcast today.
hell yeah.
Thanks, Chloe.